survived through the kindness of people along the way, and I just felt I had to do something and give back something for the kindness and the humanity that helped my mother and her family survive.
The headlines: the US Olympic and Gymnastics authorities have agreed a record compensation settlement with hundreds of sexual abuse victims of the former national team doctor Larry Nassar. The governor of Kentucky says there are still more than 100 people missing in the US state following deadly tornadoes at the weekend. And
you got
Russia
him killed by being a
has
Republican.
vetoed a UN Security Council resolution supported by a majority of member states that would have listed climate change as a global security issue.
Of course Russia does that, because Russia is being run by Putin, who's the head of the whole clan against humanity.
Live from the BBC.
He's a complete Nazi. Overthrow Putin already.
Given prison terms of up to 14 months to 8 pro-democracy activists who defied a police ban to hold a vigil.
Let's talk about how that's really bad, but not talk about U.S. protesters being killed by our police. Killed outright.
He's already in prison.
Evil hypocrisy. Evil racist hypocrisy. People shouldn't be jailed for protests, but we're going to talk about them being treated really badly, but we're not going to talk about America killing protesters.
As an attempt to suppress the pro-democracy.
We're not going to talk about police threatening governments to try to curtail their
media outlets,
immunity.
Including the popular Apple Daily newspaper, which was shut down earlier this year.
Our police are terrorists.
One man who advised Jimmy
I don't know what we have to say about
as
China.
he built his media business was Mark Simon, a long-time Hong Kong resident who's now based in the US. I asked him what the judge had to say today.
The judge said that Mr. Lai, even though he was there for 15 minutes or less, never entered the demonstration area, lit a candle on the outside, was there to incite. And so therefore, in her judgment, he was inciting people to break the COVID rules and public health, and also to incite people to a demonstration. And for that, he got 14 months in jail.
China kept their COVID deaths down to 5,000.
I think it's somewhat
if we'd been putting
ridiculous.
people in jail for
other,
breaking rules or whatever,
has been, first of all, in the 5
we could have kept
or 6
it down too.
Range in terms of sentences.
But we killed almost
8
1 million
months,
thanks to Trump and Putin
for
and
the
Zuckerberg.
average defendant. Mr. Lai picked June 4th to basically make his stand. This is an incredibly sensitive day, as we all know, because of Tiananmen, the Tiananmen massacre on June 4th. So he and 2 other brave activists made the decision to defy the government and not plead guilty.
But are you going to call our activists brave and say they defied the government? No, you're racist hypocrites.
Other senior activists, Lee Cheuk-yan and Richard Choi, received almost identical sentences to Mr. Lai. So it was somewhat, how would I say, ridiculous that Jimmy was singled out. The other 2 activists who
just like you're singling out Julian Assange, but not
guilty,
using the same laws against the people who published his information.
But it's pretty obvious from anybody there, and I think that's why we're getting the commentary, that Mr. Lai was singled out by the judge. In other words, he's the one they wanted to send the message through.
How do you think he will be feeling?
We're constantly sending messages through our justice system, especially to reinforce racism.
About these things. I mean,
so,
we've had numerous
what are we
times.
complaining
I
about?
worked directly for Jimmy for more than 20 years, and I still consider myself working for him. I'm still employed in the other businesses.
So as long as you got an unbiased
to jail, he knew
opinion.
What was going to be happening here. Mr. Lai is unique in Hong Kong in the sense that he was born in China. He came over at the age of 12 in the bottom of a boat. He's the classic Hong Kong entrepreneurial story. Made his fortune in garments, then switched into the media business, and somewhere along the way acquired a conscience that has heavily democratic values and individual freedoms involved in it. And so he is basically
or was fed a program of
Western
what to do
media
to
owner in the sense
agitate
of his mindset with
China.
freedom. And I think that has basically been his downfall with the communist Chinese. He's been on their list for a long, long time. If there's one constant,
it's really smart to go light a candle in that situation
for the last, say, 25 years since 1997, it's been Jimmy Lai. I mean, even in 97, even in 89, it's pretty well known that Mr. Lai sent aid up to the Tiananmen protesters.
And I support the protesters against police brutality in America, but
and sent,
lots of people didn't participate because
like that.
of the
so
virus.
He's been a long time proponent of democracy.
That was Mark Simon, former advisor to Jimmy Lai in Hong Kong, talking to me earlier.